we'll go ahead with the next of the 4 logos. I'm going to go back out to my Firefox and scroll down and find this guy right here. Now this is a little tiny graphic, but it's all by itself. I'm going to just right click, save image as. Then I'm going to go over here to my folder 3 and save that in there. I've called it Rick Rack Man. Okay. Then I'll go back out to Illustrator, and this is the file that we just finished working on. You can see how that came out. I'm going to I think maybe I'll just grab that and move it up over here. Okay. Now my image is in the wrong place, but that's okay. I'm mainly interested in the time that it takes for me to trace it. Okay, I'm going to go to File, and got to unlock it. Got to unlock the layer. File and Place. I noticed the place wasn't available there. Did you notice that? And then I'll click on this guy and place him on that same template file. I don't want it on top of the other thing, so I'll just move it down here. Okay, these others, while this is unlocked, are available to move. If you don't need them, you can even delete them. You don't have to keep using them. I don't know, probably a good idea to keep them in there until we're sure we're done with them. Okay, so here's this guy. I want to lock him down. Okay, now he's locked. I want to create a new layer above it, just for drawing. Make sure that layer is named correctly. Okay, I name it that because of this kind of rickrack pattern that's in here, and it's really kind of the unique thing about this, and why I've chosen to do it. It's not the best, not the world's best logo. He's missing an arm here. We'll probably try to fix that, and then but that back and forth is kind of fun to do and to figure out how to do. Okay, so here we are with that, and I'm ready to go on this. I usually start with the head. So we need a ellipse tool, L for short, and I'll just try to fashion in a head here. It's probably going to be perfectly round, and so I'm going to move it up into there, holding the shift key with my thumb on the space bar here to put it just where it needs to go. Now that needs to be a red fill, so I'll go ahead and fill out with red. Okay, remember you can see through all this. Okay, we've got a hat here that goes on next. This hat is tipped at an angle. You remember, Illustrator doesn't work so well on angles that way, so I'm going to build it out of a series of rectangles. I'm just going to kind of draw what I think might work for a rectangle for the brim of the hat, and then I'll put another rectangle on top of that, maybe draw it out from the middle using my Option key, and I'll set it on here, something like that. Now that's close, but it's not real good. And so let me go in and work on that. For working on it, I always like to work in really close. And here's what I'll do. I'll use the white arrow and I'll click right there so that that's the only point that's selected. And I'll use my right arrow and count clicks. 1, 2. Click here, left arrow, 1, 2. And so now it's kind of looking a little bit more like the hat below. Now if you'll select both objects and do a Pathfinder, tell you what, let's center them up really perfectly first. Let's use this to make them perfectly centered. Looks like they're already centered. And then add the Pathfinder Unite so that now it's a single shape. Makes it easy. Okay, I'll rotate this guy and kind of move it down into here. And if I need to, I can scale it up. Looks like it just needs to be like this way. And maybe just a little bit this way. And you can make other decisions on how you think that hat needs to go. Just going to push it on back up like that. Okay, now I probably should consider the placement of here on the head. So I'm just going to move that on down this way now. In this case, I'm actually improving on artist's design. I think it makes sense that that hat would rest on his head like here, coming down from that angle, and maybe over here. If you look at an outline view, you can kind of see how that looks. Maybe using your arrow keys to get it just where you want it. Okay. Now you could also do this in a vertical arrangement, and they would be, and that would be a good way to do it to get this thing started. You know, you want to get it kind of centered on there, and so it just looks really good. Okay, that looks pretty good, I guess. Let me look at it in outline view. Yeah, that's pretty close. Okay, probably better than what we had as far as a drawing. Okay. All right. So I've got the two shapes there. Those two could be united if you want to go ahead and unite those. Now it's just a single shape. Pretty good. Okay. Now the body, I'll use a pen tool on it, and I think I'll just do it this way. I'll start over here at this shoulder, and then this is the simplest kind of pen work, right? It's just straight clicks. Click, click, click. In preview, you sometimes run into a problem, though, where you're, before I get too far with that, where you're starting to cover up the drawing. Okay, so you got to keep that in mind. That's why outline view is so helpful. Okay, now as I get down here at the feet, these are supposed to be perfectly horizontal, I think, but I'll go ahead and I'll just kind of click them by hand, because that'll give me a chance to show you that average function again. I'm just following around this. Oops, I bent that one a little bit. Did you see that? If you have to go back in and do it and connect, click on the last one again, and it'll just keep on connecting. We want this to be a single path. Now here, his arm, I think, should probably come back this way. I'm going to make a design decision here, and I'm going to click here, and then back up here. Okay, and then I'll cut a little triangle out of him right here. Okay, let's look at it in preview. It's just this. Okay, all right. Here again, these two shapes now could be joined, united, and so I just have one path now for this whole thing. Okay, now to take out that little triangle right there, pen tool will work just fine. Maybe change it to a white fill. You don't want to change the red that you've got going here, so deselect first. Okay, then change to a white fill. Remember, that's always a hazard. I do that by accident a lot. Okay. I don't know that I really need, come to think of it, I don't think I really need the white, but I'm just going to click here, and here, and here, and here, and you can see that it kind of works. Yeah, that is a good way to do that, I think. Again, making a kind of an artistic judgment on whether you think that looks good. I think his arm should probably go up this way just a bit more. Okay, trying to keep a straight line right here. Okay, I think we've got another one of those over here. There's a little kind of a white triangle right here too. So maybe I'll go over here and draw this one next. Maybe just a click, and a click, and a click, and a click. Okay, let's see what that looks like. That is looking kind of okay. Remember, you can also turn off your background image if you think it gives you a better impression. Not bad. Okay. Now we've got another white shape that goes on top of that. Okay. Let's look at the feet though first. Those feet are supposed to be squares. They're not supposed to be sort of irregular shape like they are right now. So let me just zoom in on that. And I want to remind you about this function. If you can draw a little box right here and include this anchor point, and this anchor point, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Okay, it's easy to do. Just draw a little rectangle that includes those 6 anchor points. Notice the other anchor points are still deselected. Okay, what I want to do is make this into a straight line so that all 6 of those are in alignment. Go to Object, Path, Average. I'll move this so we can watch. Set it for horizontal, and then as I click right here, you'll see that they have averaged so that they are now on a straight line. If you want to prove that to yourself, turn on your ruler and bring down a guide. Look at that, they're perfect. Okay, I'm going to undo that. I'm going to turn off my ruler. Okay, same thing down here. You can click and grab these 4 points. Object, Path, Average, Horizontal. And now those are on a straight line. Again, if you want to prove it to yourself, you can drag a guide on there and see that. Okay. Let's see if I can undo that. All right. Okay, now these 2 are supposed to be perfect verticals. Okay, they're supposed to be right over top of each other. So I'm going to use the average vertical, and now that's straight. This one doesn't look quite right either. Object, Path, Average, Vertical. Let's see about these 2. Those 2 need to be averaged. Vertical. And how about these 2? Object, Path, Average, Vertical. Okay, so now he's got 2 big block feet here. And you can turn your image back on and see how that looks. Again, don't be afraid to make a judgment by just looking at the art by itself. I think this toe is a little long, or maybe this one's a little short. Maybe I'll just cut these 2 back just a bit using my left arrow key there. Yeah, there we go. All right, that's a single path. Pardon me, I touched the Command T. That brings up your character panel. Command Y to see the image, or you can turn this off and on as well. All right, now we've got this white fill in here, and I want to go around with my pen and create this shape, but I would really like for this shape, that rickrack, stair step that we've got there, to be really perfect. So I'm going to draw that the very first thing, then I'll connect it to the rest of this white. Okay, here's how I do it. Just draw a line using the line segment. You know, it doesn't even have to be exactly perfect, but I'll tell you what, I think it works better if you draw it perfectly vertical. Okay, so I'm going to draw a perfectly vertical line. You could draw it over here if you'd rather. Okay, so now I've got a perfectly vertical line, and I want to count the anchor points that I'm going to need. I'm looking at the drawing now. That's going to be an anchor point. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 probably, or maybe 15. That part right there doesn't look very good. Anyway, I might not use it. Okay, so I'm going to need 14 anchor points on here, maybe 15, maybe 16, we'll see. And I'm going to add them by using the Object, Path, Add Anchor Points. Now, check this out, how this works. I'm going to turn off the background. It added only 1. I had 2, and it added 1 right in the middle. Okay, do it again. Object, Path, Add Anchor Points. Now it added 2 more. What it's doing is adding an anchor point between every existing anchor point. Now I've got 5. Object, Path, Add Anchor Points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you can see with each one it's adding a new anchor point between existing anchor points. Object, Path, Add Anchor Points. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So I'm a little bit too many. Okay, but that's probably okay. We just want to make sure that we have, what was it, 14? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so I don't need this one, and this one. So I'm just going to delete them. Use the white selection tool for that. Okay, I'll turn on my template here. There we go. And you can see what I've got. It looks like it's got 14 anchor points, but it's not long enough. Well, we can make it long enough. We'll just grab the selection tool here, and I'll just drag this down. So it's right there. Okay, and I'll rotate it so that it's up there. Let me move it over. Maybe rotate it a little too much, huh? Because I want to put this right about here. And I can just keep kind of rotating this until somehow my template's unlocked. I'll put that back so before I move it accidentally. Okay, so I'm just kind of nudging this in. I want that top anchor point there, and I want the bottom anchor point to be right about there. Okay, it's all adjustable, and as I'm changing the length of that line, all these anchor points are staying evenly spaced. Isn't that nice? Okay, let's see what that looks like. Click on that. Let's switch. Let's press the Command key, and you can see all 14 of those anchor points on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, let's see if this will work. Okay. Now, we haven't used this tool yet. Let's look at the lasso tool. I use the lasso tool here just because it's fun to use. Okay, I'm going to draw like this, and if you can do yours just similar to mine, that'd be great. Go in and out and in and out and around and around. Actually, I do remember we looked at the lasso tool when we were doing the TV. Okay, now what am I doing here? I'm selecting every other point. Could you do that with the white arrow? Absolutely. But what would be the challenge in that? Okay, now I've got every other anchor point selected there, and I'm just going to press my right arrow key about 3 times, maybe up once. Okay, and then I'm going to reselect this whole path, and you can see what I'm up to. I'm creating a nice little nice little rickrack design. The black arrow will kind of help me get it back in position, and as I kind of need to, I can rotate this and then move it back over. I'm following the design kind of as much as I can, and at the same time I'm kind of making it better. All right, there we go. There's that stair-step shape. We used add anchor points, and then we selected every other one and used the arrow key to make it a perfect kind of stair-step pattern. Now, with the pen tool, you can add on to existing paths with the pen tool. You just have to click and look for that little slash mark. See that little slash right there next to the pen? And when you click there, it's going to let you add onto the shape that you already have drawn. So I can come over here and just click, and then I'll click here, and then I'll click here. I'm kind of thinking about even spacing here to make it look better than the hand-drawn drawing. Clicking here, and maybe here, and then down here. This time, instead of doing the averaging, I'm going to remember to use the Shift key and make perfect square corners on these feet. And I'm going to let off with the Shift key as I connect back over here. Now that needs to be a white fill, so I'll select it and change my fill to white. Let's just see what it looks like here. not too bad. Now again, you'll want to do your best to make it as artistically perfect as possible. You can move these anchor points around until they kind of have a little more even spacing. I'm trying to make it look good. It looks better. Okay, if the smart guides are working against you, remember you can always turn those off. And then you can make it just really perfect. I'm going to bring this up, hold the shift key because I don't want to lose my vertical. And then I might move this one just a little bit like that. Good. All right, I better stop here. I'm going awfully long.